final week of English 102 summer session, we will be working on our researched argument essay. Please note that the essay must be submitted no later than July 26th. If it is submitted after that date, I cannot grade it. I do not mean to sound so harsh about this, but this is a hard deadline, so ensure that you get your essay submitted by July 26th. When we go into this folder, we see what we're doing. The first document that you see is a reminder about the differences between Toulmin and Rogerian arguments. So you might want to open this to remind yourself of what you're doing. As most of you have already indicated which style you're going to use in the discussion board, you said you were going to use either Toulmin or Rogerian, and some of you are actually using a combination. So using that as a guide, again, this is just a quick review of what you will be doing for each of these methods. So be sure that you go through here and that you're addressing each of the points. With that in mind, I'm going to go down here. After that, last week you had some sample essays. Make sure that you click into here and look at even more sample essays. It is vital that you look at the samples. Without doing so, you will be making some mistakes that you won't really even realize you're making. So read through as many of them as you can to get an idea of what I'm looking for. Here's a hint. Each of these essays got an A. So if you got an A, you probably want to make yours resemble them at some sort. Okay, so we'll go back in. I also included a folder here about incorporating your counter arguments. Some of us have a hard time doing that. So what I've done is I have a that first document you can click on, and you can walk through how to do this. Okay, so you make sure you can read through that yourself. And again, that is right here. We also have a link here to a website that explains it very well. So if you still are having trouble, go through here and just scroll through this website and get an idea of how to do this. If this were a 16-week class, we would spend a lot more time on this, but unfortunately, with the brevity of our class, the onus of learning how to do this is on you. So go through here and just look through and get a really good idea, a solid idea of how to do this. If you're still having trouble, please be sure to email me so I can work with you on it. I also have included a short video about great conclusions, because some of us do have a hard time writing conclusions, so that was there for you. I'm going to go down to this one. Please make note of, there's a document here about how to break up long quotes. So if you're in the habit of writing very long quotes and you realize that it has to be blocked, because from our video last week, you know that if it's over 4 lines, it has to be blocked. Well, if you go through your essay and realize you have 3 or 4 blocked quotes, that's too many. So this will help you. This document will help you go through and break up these quotes. This is an actual passage from an essay, a student essay, and we had gone through in class and described how to break this up, whereas you would still be using the quote, but not as a blocked quote. So you should go through here and you can see how to do it. This is not in your textbook, it's just something that I just know to do. But you could go through here, and again, the first thought would be to block it. The next idea would be to paraphrase and then use a block quote. So here's the paraphrase plus the blocked quote. The next idea is a higher level one, and this is the one that I would really suggest you use, in that you're using a paraphrase, which would conclude, again, a short quote right after that, and then a little bit more paraphrase, and then the blocked quote. So again, here's just a different idea of the same thing, where you would use a short paraphrase, and then you would use a short quote, and then after that you would have the block quote right here. So again, each one of these, you can look at this to make sure that you're doing it correctly, but each of these samples, it will help you so that you don't have too many blocked quotes. So just go through that. If you realize that that is what happened, when you get to the end and you're revising and you realize you have too many blocked quotes, please refer to this. If you have any trouble with it, please email me and let me know, and I'll help walk you through it. Again, here's some other ideas, some samples of student papers with MLA guidelines. What I also have included here is a very extensive checklist. If you have a printer, I suggest you print this off. If you do not, still maybe open another tab and then go through here and seriously check off each one of these items. Format is very important. If you don't have the 1-inch margins, you need to make sure that you do have them. All of these things is important, especially with the header, with the last name where it goes. Okay, everything needs to be formatted correctly. Then in this section, it makes you focus on unity and coherence. So go through each one of these and sincerely sit down and go through each one of these points and look through your essay to make sure that you have accomplished what is asked of you. Please note again that this is in third person. If you're using a Rogerian model, you may use we and our, because in the case of the Rogerian model, it lends itself into that kind of speaking and writing. But most assuredly, do not use I and do not use you at all unless it is in a direct quote. The next portion is of vital importance as well. Be sure that you're inserting your quotations and paraphrases correctly. We have already done extensive work on that in this class. Last week when you looked at the videos and then answered the questions. Those questions that you answered were major issues with most writers in English 101 and 102 that they have. So make sure you go through here and check through each one of these issues to make sure that you've done it correctly. Then with your Works Cited page, again, go through each one of these and mark them off to make sure that you've done this correctly. Okay. Then that brings us to the last point, and it's the last but not the least. Take a break from what you're doing and come back to your paper and read your paper out loud. Okay. Sometimes some people read their paper and then sentence by sentence backwards. I have not done that, but I do know that some people find that to be beneficial. But most assuredly, be sure to read your paper out loud. Another idea that would be helpful is to have someone you know read your paper out loud as well. Have that person read your paper standing right in front of you, reading it out loud. So those are proven ways of revising. If this class were longer, we would spend much more time doing that. We would spend a lot of time on revising and in peer reviews. But again, due to the brevity of this class, that's just not going to work. Okay, so if you have any questions throughout the week regarding this, or if there's any sections of your essay that you're not sure are correct and you need help, please email me. And if I need to set up a time to meet with you virtually as a virtual office hour, I will. But otherwise, be sure that this is where you would submit this. Okay? And again, no later than July 26th. If I don't receive this by July 26th, you will not be able to turn this in and you will not pass the class. All right, so have a great week.